The world ended. Nobody cleaned it up. 13 war machines wake up in the dark. He walks down there on his own. Blue light crawls up his arm. He cuts a cannon shot out of the air. Then something much bigger stands up. So he makes a spear out of light. Then he walks back like nothing happened. He isn't a soldier. He's something a government grew, used, and then wanted gone. Now he's crossing a dead continent with a girl riding on his back. She's trying to reach a satellite that fell out of the sky, and everyone alive wants them both. So let's start on the night the machines woke up. Every direction you look, the ground is broken and the buildings are bones. This is what's left of the world. One figure stands up on the high rocks, sweeping a scanner across the dark, checking the road ahead. The boy with the dark hair doesn't say a word. He just looks out at it like he's seen this view too many times. Behind him, leaning back against the machine she rides, the girl is somewhere else entirely. She asks how the stars up there can possibly be that beautiful. We see them every single night, she says, and somehow they never stop looking beautiful. He tells her they're burning balls of gas, nothing more, and she of all people should know that better than anyone. She's not letting him ruin it. It's enough, she says, to just enjoy them for what they are. He's got nothing. Then he snorts. Small, quiet, almost a laugh. Almost. He changes the subject and asks whether they're actually heading the right way. She says she'll check, and the tech wrapped around her wrist lights up. He lays out what they know. Ever since the satellite called Mother came down out of the sky, she picks it up, track where Mother was when it fell, follow the crash line back down. It came down maybe 300 kilometers out, and the data satellite Mother left for her should be northwest. There's a catch. The ground ahead used to be a war zone, and something is still lying dormant in it. She says it could get dangerous. He says they'll deal with it. That's the whole conversation. He pulls his goggles down, points the scanner northwest, and starts sweeping. She finds it, a tiny drone circling up in orbit, and they need to get closer before it will connect. He goes quiet for a second, then says the name out loud, the Mother satellite. It stored the lost system data up there on a sub-satellite, so she could get back what she'd lost. He says it sounds a bit like a mother's love. She says that's exactly how it feels. Then she tells him something heavier. She was originally one with Mother, until her own mind woke up and split off, and now she wants to meet the real one, not the data, her. She can feel the warmth Mother left behind in that satellite, and it only makes her want to see her in person more. He doesn't answer that. He just looks at her for a moment and lets it sit. Then he tells her they're moving, and that's the end of the sentimental portion of the evening. She asks the awkward question. Once she gets her data back and can walk, she has to leave the carrier, right? He says yeah. So she pushes her luck and asks if he couldn't just carry her the whole way, since it's pretty nice up there. And there it is again, that same small snort of a laugh. He tells her she was exactly this much of a menace the day they first met. She fires back that Raid has changed a lot, because at the start he never once smiled at her jokes. Raid genuinely doesn't know what she means. He asks if he's smiling right now. She doesn't answer. Whatever she's thinking about now, it isn't funny. She asks him about the day the Civil War started. Why did he grant her request? Raid stops walking. That day, he says, and the rest of the sentence doesn't come out. Mother was the transcendent being humanity, built with every scrap of skill and wisdom it had, meant to lead everyone to peace. That is not even slightly what happened. Human greed turned Mother into something worth going to war over, and on the day it all fell apart, she said something to him. She said his name, and then she asked to see Mother. Blood on her hands, blood on her clothes, and she reaches out and asks if he would take her there. Raid asks her what she's even talking about, then nothing. He just stands there in the smoke with no answer for her. Back in the present, he finally starts to give her one. He gets as far as telling her what his time with her was. Then she cuts him off. The dormant machines have picked them up. He asks how many. She's counting 13. He decides fast, if they want to keep moving forward, there's no way around it. He tugs his collar straight, almost polite about it. He tells her he'll be right back. He steps away from the carrier and the dust starts lifting off the ground around him. And he pulls his arm back and blue light coils up around his fist. It streams off him in a rush, bright enough to light up the rocks. Gaia pulse. The armor builds itself over him in a single breath. He mutters that he never wanted to use this because of the trackers. She says his name once, and there's a warning packed into it. She tells him not to push himself too hard. He doesn't answer straight away. Then he tells her he'll be back. Different words, same promise, and he's gone, launching himself off the ridge in one jump. He knows this isn't the rational choice. He also doesn't regret it. Down in the rocks, something enormous opens its eyes, and they are red. Intercept system activated. Unknown object approaching. The wasteland is doing paperwork on him. Stone-crusted arms lock onto a cylinder the size of a truck and start feeding it in. More of them stand up out of the dirt. This is not 13 problems, it's 13 artillery pieces. A launch rail the size of a tower swings upright behind them. Raid can't believe how fast the scrap left over from the Second War still reacts. The first cannon opens up, and the whole ridge goes white. Then the second, then the third, and the barrels don't stop. The ground where he was standing turns into a column of fire. He comes out of it already moving, weapon up, blue arm glowing. The mechanical arm extends and the light sharpens into a sword. He drives it forward and the energy goes with it. One swing, and a spiral of blue tears through the smoke. He's inside their range now, cutting between the fires. He drops into a crouch as the nearest machine braces to meet him. Its arm cannon swings down and unloads point blank. The whole line of them opens fire at once, beams raking across the rock. He goes low under it, sword trailing, explosions closing in behind him. One of the big ones lunges. He gets the blade up in time. It pins him down, and for a second he's snarling under the weight of it. He slips sideways. The machine commits to empty air. Then he's past it, arm cocked, blue arc already forming. Something crackles behind him, and he turns. That wasn't one of these. He stands over two of them, cloak and ribbons, and looks up. A rock face the size of a building tips over and comes apart. Something is coming through the debris, fast, and it isn't stopping. It lands. CTR-07, an Imperial Army weapon, and it is much bigger than everything else out here. Raid can't believe that thing is somehow still walking around. Back at the carrier, she sees it too. He shouts the name of the weapon, and a blue spear builds in his hand. He throws. It hits like a dropped building. The blast takes out everything standing near it. The smaller machines stop dead and try to work out what just happened. He hangs there in the air above them and tells them not to interfere. Then he pulls something small and round out of his coat and grips it tight. He clicks it into the slot and the readout jumps. Level 2. He goes straight up, riding the blast of his own power. He tells the whole valley to go back to sleep. The valley disagrees. Two more heads come up out of the rubble. Their arm cannons light and the beams come in as a wall. He's caught right in the middle of it, threading gold fire in every direction. Two of them go down and stay down, twitching in the dirt. The rest close the gap, moving together like they were built to. One gets its arm up over him while he's still low. He catches the strike on the blade and his knees buckle. Then something worse steps in. A skull-faced thing with blue lights for eyes. It swings and he twists out of the path by inches. He resets his stance. He's breathing harder now. Then he brings the sword around in one enormous arc. A cannon the size of a bus swings away from him and lines up on the carrier. He's already moving, but he is much too far out. He looks up and sees exactly what is about to happen. Behind him, the fight is still going. Blades and beams everywhere. He plants his feet and throws up a wall of blue spikes. It isn't enough. The big one steps over him and keeps walking towards her. She can't do a thing about it. The data isn't back yet. Closes the distance in a heartbeat. And she actually asks herself if this is the end. Then she screams his name loud enough to tear her throat. She's still shouting after it, already moving in her seat. A blue streak comes down out of the dark. The big one is winding back for the killing blow. Raid takes the hit meant for her, gets thrown across the rock, and he is furious. He asks it who exactly it thinks it's messing with. Then he hits it, and the blue light goes right through. The rest of it comes apart in one long rush of air. Afterwards, he walks back across the rocks to where she's sitting. He asks whether he made it back in time after all. Then he gets to work on the carrier without another word. He knocks the spent unit loose from its slot. It comes out hot, red core still glowing. He notes that he cut it close on the fuse as well. She says out loud that they almost ended their journey right here. He tells her there is no way that would ever happen. No matter what happens, he starts to say, and that is where he stops. Humanity's own cruelty started the Second World War, and it took the whole world to the edge of the end. Every nation answered it the same way. Mass-produced war machines until the numbers matched the threat, and Raid says it flat. He was created as a product of that era. The things he got pointed at were built by the same logic. The Times needed enemies, so the Times made some. But there was a difference between them and us. That's how he puts it. A gloved hand locks a fuse into the port on his arm. Someone else's hand. He's being loaded like equipment. Humans, implanted with the bioweapon Gaia. That's the whole category, and he is in it. On the other side, the Delta. Mechanical weapons carrying artificial intelligence that could rival a person. One of them opens up and takes half a street with it. He goes in close anyway, because that is what he was built to do. And here's the uncomfortable part. They and us, he says, weren't really so different. Its arm throws a wave of fire at him. He cuts straight through the middle of it. He puts a kick through a mech twice his size and it staggers. Another one fires at point-blank range and he turns the shot aside with his bare arm. Another blast comes straight at his face and he barely gets a guard up in time. The problem is that the AI reads every move he makes, completely. They always act with the most optimal movement available, every single time. He brings a red blade around and it lands with everything he has behind it. The thing answers with a beam that lights the whole street white. Artificial intelligence analyses and moves in ways that overwhelm human beings. That is simply the maths, however. And this is the part he wants her to hear. They never reach the processing power of a human brain. Moving muscle, circulating blood, reading nerve signals. The brain runs all of it at once without being asked. Gaia takes that control and weaponizes it. And the one thing people have that maths doesn't is imagination. He drops under a strike that should have ended him. On a rig no calculation would ever produce, making judgments in places that don't exist. That is what he calls it. Beside him, another one of them lands a hit that shouldn't have been possible either. Irregularity. One word, and it is the entire reason any of them survived. So he moves first before the machine has finished deciding what he'll do. Lightning wraps around the armor and he walks straight through it. That, he says, was the difference between between artificial intelligence and us, and that difference won the war. Standing behind him are the people who won it with him. But the problem showed up after the war ended, because nobody could agree what to do with soldiers who were living beings and war machines at the same time. Raid stands in the middle of that argument, looking completely unbothered, which probably didn't help. And for humanitarian reasons, the decision came down. 5 of them, backs to the world, officially classified as a lingering danger, with no place left for them in the ruined world. They were nearly written off entirely. Evil spirits of a forgotten past, is how he says it. Fortunately, somebody found a use for them, a new role, vital protectors of the city, which sounds a lot better than it turned out to be. Uniform on, escort duty, he tells his team to prepare for handoff. Behind him is a tank with something human-shaped in it. Somewhere off to the side, a voice answers yes, and then we're back at the fire, and she's still turning it over. Diversity, she says, should come with respect. The two of them are different, and they understand each other anyway. She wishes everyone could manage that. He doesn't say anything. He rarely does when it matters, so she changes tack and gives him the good news. She thinks she'll be able to walk starting tomorrow. The system's been restored, and her energy levels are finally stable. Blue light spills out of her bandaged fingers. Then her eye snaps wide, the gear inside it turning, and the pleasant part of the evening is over. Someone's approaching. She's shouting it before she's finished processing it. About 10 people, coming up from the south. Out on the rocks, a woman leaning on a rifle asks her lieutenant if this is really the right direction. The girl beside her doesn't blink. Her tracking has never been wrong, and Unit 52 is inside a 4-kilometer radius. A boy wearing what appears to be a cooking pot says he can see it clearly with his Gaia. From where they're standing, the signal off that Gaia reads 328 degrees north, 328 north, roughly 4 kilometers out. They have him. One of them warns the rest not to underestimate him just because he's alone. Right now, she says, he is only a traitor to the government. But purple light climbs up her leg as she draws the sword, and once upon a time, he was a monster of war. Somebody draws out a longsaw and sets the butt of a spear against the ground. Then the whole line starts moving across the rock. She lifts her polearm, a fuse gripped in her other hand, and tells them to fight with everything they've got. Back at the fire, the girl looks at Royd. He's already got the face he wears when the talking is over. Down in the cave, the numbers get worse. The pursuers are inside 3 kilometers now. Raid can't work it out. Mother's jamming satellite should be running. So how is anyone tracking them? She has the answer, and she doesn't like it. One of the people out there can detect Gaia. That lands badly. Someone who can track Gaia. He wonders if they've sent newly developed Gaia agents after him. He counts what he has. 7 spare fuses left, and this fight could eat 3 of them. At their current pace, they've still got 10 days of traveling, and no idea what's waiting on the way. Running doesn't work either. They'd be found inside 8 hours. There's no avoiding this, and he has to choose right. Then a bandaged hand closes around his sleeve. She tells him not to carry this alone. It's okay, she says, if they never reach the mother satellite. More than anything, she doesn't want him getting hurt. More than goals, more than wishes, more than hopes, because he is the reason she's alive at all, and she's crying by the time she gets it out. He tells her he promised he'd get her to the mother satellite no matter what, to stay with her until the very end, for her happiness. So trust him. He'll stop the pursuers, he says, and then he'll come back. She calls after him, just his name, and it doesn't stop him. He grips the fuse against his chest and asks for one thing, please. Then he comes down on them out of the dark. One of them launches straight up to meet him. Another one barely has time to register what is happening. The sky above them starts going off in pieces. Something clips him and he grunts through it. An armored one drops low and comes in fast. Royd answers with the blue blade and closes the distance. Somebody in the pack shouts that this is getting dangerous, and somebody else, grinning, tells them not to get distracted mid-fight. A curved weapon comes around in a wide, fast arc. The scythe drops straight at his head and he gets a hand up. Then she says something that changes the shape of the whole fight. Been a while, Captain. Pink and blue detonate between them. He slides out of the blast and resets his stance. He stops for half a second. Whatever he was expecting tonight, it wasn't this. A mohawk and a glowing sword come down on him from above. Off on the rocks, a rifle settles. Target confirmed. The rifle fires and the shot comes in flat and fast. He looks up and there's fire falling towards him. He brings the blade up and cuts it out of the air. Then the big one swings, and Raid has to brace for that one properly. Level 2 mode. The big man lights up and puts everything he has into one punch. And he can't believe it. That's the war demon Raid from the Second War? He doesn't look strong at all. One of the younger ones is already excited. Take him down, earn some glory. So he charges, and Raid just stands there and lets him come. The counter lands and goes straight through him. Someone screams at the rest not to approach recklessly. Behind her, one of them is already on the ground. Raid swings and the air splits open in front of him. A huge man comes at him, roaring that he should die, traitor. They collide, and the blue light goes everywhere. Then a voice cuts through it. His skills haven't dulled yet, she sees, and she says the word again, flat and certain. Captain. He looks at her and admits that it's been a long time. She never imagined he'd betray the government and run off with Speaker. She wants to know why the hell he'd do something that stupid. He doesn't defend himself. He asks her a question instead. After the war, what is she living for? She wasn't ready for that one at all. Is she living without purpose, just following orders, without ever knowing what her reason or her passion is? Doesn't it hurt, he asks, that her whole purpose is carrying out destruction on somebody else's command? She throws it straight back. That is exactly the same for him. So what nonsense is he spouting? He was the strongest warrior she ever met. She truly respected him. So why? Why did he betray them? She screams. And he tells her he decided to live for himself, not on someone else's orders, but on his own decisions. He chose a life that is entirely his. Nothing else matters to him now. Then the blue light climbs his arm again. No time to waste, and he tells all of them to come at him at once. 4 of them stare at him, and not one of them moves first. She calls him arrogant. Monster or not, he's at a disadvantage now, and she'll kill him here for sure. He doesn't argue with that. His past was a passive life lived on orders, exactly like she said, simply carrying out evil deeds because somebody else said the words. So maybe this is the punishment for it. And somewhere behind his eyes, a voice calls him Captain. 4 of them shoulder to shoulder laughing, under a sky that still had a city underneath it. One of them stands at the edge of it, bronze arm at his side, looking out over all of it. And then there's Raid, who walked away from every bit of that and hasn't looked back since. We go back, way back, to a street that still had buildings on it, and a team that turned to look at one man, Raid. He was someone they all looked up to. That is how she tells it. Dark hair, gold eyes, an earring, and a face that never gave anything away. She's standing right behind him, and her heart is going like a drum. Lydia clocks it immediately, because of course she does. She wants to know if the new girl likes him that much. And the new girl, going red, tells Sergeant Conchoni that he wouldn't understand. She's been hearing stories about Raid's heroic deeds since she was a trainee, and now she is on Raid's team. She actually punches the air. Conchoni gives that the response it deserves. Nothing. Then he says it out loud. He's probably not as great as the rumors say. She doesn't even know how to process that. Paul cuts it short. Everyone prepare for deployment. Raid doesn't say anything. Raid mostly doesn't. Then he says the only thing he needs to. Move out. Behind him, she can barely hold it in. Finally, 5 of them down a narrow street, and she is telling anyone who'll listen that she's part of Raid's team. Then the city is on fire, and somebody in the rubble is begging to be spared. 2 enemy soldiers sweating, saying they'll surrender if they just get to live. Raid doesn't answer. A red blade grows out of his arm. He tells them they've crossed the line, and then he goes through them, and one of them hits the ground screaming. She turns her head and catches all of it. Her breath goes out of her in one gasp. Behind her, another body gets thrown across the street. Somebody in a hood is on somebody in uniform, and it's over in a second. And then it's quiet, and there are 2 men on the ground, and one of them isn't moving. Smoke, sirens, and a city that used to be somewhere people lived. She asks herself if this is real, or if this is what war actually is. There's a tear on her face by the time she thinks it. Then she turns, spear up, because there's no time to be horrified. Something enormous is already swinging at her from the front, and someone gets in the way and puts a sword straight through it. She's told to stay close and not leave their side. Somewhere off to the left, somebody else spots it too late. A metal arm comes down and a man throws himself sideways. The machine's arm opens up and lets go of everything it has. Someone answers it with an orange blade and a lot of anger. Raid doesn't shout. He just says it. Paul, move forward. Paul moves forward, and Paul is not a small man, and Paul gives him one word back. Orders. Then somebody screams that artillery is incoming and everyone needs cover. Out in the dark, the machines line up their guns and start charging them. The 3 of them brace behind whatever they can find. Somebody yells at everyone to find cover, teeth bared. The first rounds land and the ground goes yellow. An armored shape comes down through it, swinging. Paul calls it barrier. 20 seconds. And Raid turns to her and says it. Rookie. He's counting on her to watch his back. Then he's shouting again. Conchoni, return fire. Conchoni brings the big gun up and lets it go. As ordered, he says, and he doesn't blink. The shot leaves the barrel as a wall of ice. It lands, and the whole line goes white. One of the big ones is left standing in the steam. It just stands there, blank-faced, venting. Then a red blade goes into it, and the girl with the scythe is right behind him. Another one gets opened up down the middle, and it turns into slaughter, and that is the only honest word for it. 3 of them go in together, red and pink light everywhere. Raid moves, and she moves with him, half a step behind. Something comes up out of the wreck behind her, chest glowing orange. She spins on it, and a masked figure drops out of the sky with fire in its hand. She takes it on the blade, and it nearly puts her on the floor. Then she swings back, and this time it is her turn. Afterwards, all she can think about is that he didn't even look back. He trusted her with his back. Her, a rookie? The fighting doesn't stop for her feelings. It never does. Someone stands up on a heap of rubble and waits for the next wave. And she watches all of it, and she doesn't have any words for it. Afterwards, there's smoke and wreckage, and somebody coughing through it, and a man on the ground breathing in a way that men don't come back from. Someone in a hood twists away from an armored fist by nothing at all. Raid tells her the truth as he sees it. There's no mercy in war. You move, and you finish the mission. That is all there is to it, he says. And she looks at him and thinks, this is the warrior, the one she admired. She's smiling when she says it, in a city that's still burning. She spent a long time with Raid after that, and with the big, silent machine that stood behind him, as comrades who went through more battles than either of them ever counted, and she learned an enormous amount from him. Not just fighting, staying alive in every sense of it. It only made her respect him more, and she started to want something, to become a great warrior standing right beside him. She's allowed herself a small smile about that, once or twice, but near the end of the war, he suddenly left the Special Forces. The unit was disbanded after the ceasefire between the Republic and the Empire, and Raid took his new orders without one word of complaint. Even at the moment it all ended, he didn't dress it up. 2 words, and that was the whole speech. Good work. And that's when she finally understood something about herself. What she actually felt about Raid. It was more than respect. And then she was the one left alone in the unit. Her dream of standing beside him went out the door with him. Then a briefing room, an S-rank mission. Her life cannot be guaranteed. The war hero Raid has disobeyed orders and fled after stealing Speaker 52, a government resource connected to Mother. Execute the national traitor, retrieve Speaker, her idol, Raid. He broke the rules and walked out. And the only thing she can ask is why. Her dream of standing beside Raid, and this is what it turns into. Somewhere in the fog, 2 people stand and look at something neither of them can fix. And now, tonight, he's standing in front of her, and he hasn't changed at all. So she calls it out. 1 word, red and furious. He destroyed her dream, and she is screaming it at him. Then she brings the sword around and tells him she'll execute him. Pink light and blue light slam into each other, and neither of them gives an inch. Raid brings the arm up and lets the energy come off it. He shouts at her to get back. She wants to know why he's attacking her. Then the sword comes down at him anyway. Somebody catches sight of something and doesn't like it at all. One of them spits it at him. While he was rotting away out in the borderlands, they were on a battlefield getting stronger, and they have been waiting to say it. She sets her teeth and commits to it. The first exchange lands, and somebody is already moving past him. Somebody else spins round, and there's energy crackling where there shouldn't be. A white-haired one comes through the pink trails with a sword up. Raid takes it on his arm, and the light goes both colors at once. He grunts and puts everything into the push, and there's something huge behind him. Then the blue weapon comes down, and the ground gives underneath it. He straightens up with the sword still burning in his hand, and he says nothing, which is somehow worse. Then he starts saying names. Conchoni. Paul is already on the ground with blood underneath him. Somebody says Lena, and one of them looks at something and asks whether that's him. Raid tells her she's really put the old team back together. Did she miss them that much? Is she clinging to ghosts of the past? Sergeant Lydia. Lydia's jaw goes tight enough to hear from across the rocks. She tells him not to talk nonsense and swings. The weapon whips out, and he catches it on the blade, and while he fights, he's working. It isn't just about destructive power. Gaia has been enhanced, he thinks, but only in range and power. Above him, something with a visor lines up a shot. The rounds go past, and they're just rounds. The fired shots still don't carry Gaia in them. The technology hasn't come that far yet, and he knows it. Whatever else they've brought, he'll find out by walking straight into it. A blue hood lunges at him with a sword. The girl in the cap calls it out. No hostile intent detected. The boy swings anyway, and he swings hard. Raid meets him halfway and doesn't move his feet. The boy's face goes completely blank. What? There's no impact when he hits? Nothing at all. He's swinging at air. Raid is already somewhere else, arm coming round. The girl next to him doesn't get a sound out. Then he has a fistful of blue cloak and a point to make about swordsmen in close combat. Hand-to-hand fighting is essential too, and he pulls the boy in and puts a fist through the middle of him. Somebody screams at him and brings a halberd down. The staff comes round and stops halfway because something is wrong. He's behind her, gauntlet on her shoulder. Before she's finished turning, she goes over backwards and off her feet entirely. Another one throws an arm up and takes it on the guard. Stealth, he realizes. He can't tell where the shot came from. 4 gray shapes scatter, and the ground fills up with projectiles. One of them drops into a crouch and goes quiet. Level 2, hide. Another one lets go of everything he has, and the rock comes apart. So Raid stops thinking about it and runs. 1 gold eye, and nothing behind it but arithmetic. He drops low, and the blue starts pooling underneath him. Then it opens out of his back like a pair of wings. He comes up with the sword and a blast either side of him. He tells them this is the one they won't dodge. And here's the thing nobody put in the manual. Technology advancing is not the important part. He closes his hand around another fuse, and the readout goes all the way over. Level 3. Everything in front of him turns to water, and then to ice. Something glowing and half there is kneeling in the middle of it. He finishes the thought with his fist. The important part is experience. Then a pair of goggles comes up out of the smoke. Found you. And she screams at him not to make her laugh. She's fast. She has always been fast. He tells her he already said this to her once. Her movements have too many openings in them. She sweeps the arm round, and he isn't there for it. And then she recognizes it, and the blood goes out of her face. This technique. The sword comes up and the wings go wide. Spatial area pulse. A technique that turns everything it touches to ash through particle vibration. One of them is still screaming when it starts. Another one just roars into it because there's nothing else left to do. And somebody, hanging in the middle of all that light, asks if this is the end. Somebody plants their feet in the middle of it and swears he won't let them down. Somebody else, soaked through and shaking, screams that it's over. And a boy in a blue hood screams for his captain. He's still got the bat in his hand. It isn't going to help. Another one turns and sees exactly how bad this is. A big man in a battle-worn coat takes it full in the chest. The blue light climbs, and then it keeps climbing, and then it comes down on all of them at once. Afterwards, there's one man standing and one man very much not. The girl is on the rocks with her top torn open and she can't get a word out. He tells them not to come after him. And then, much quieter, please, and that's when it hits her. He turned the power of that skill down so that he wouldn't kill her. That raid, that one. So she starts begging him for it. Kill me, like he taught her to on the battlefield. Kill me. He doesn't say anything at all for a long moment. Then he tells her his war ended back then, and he goes, and the dust comes up off the rocks behind him. She's left on the ground with the rest of the team scattered around her. She lies there with her metal leg out in front of her, trying to finish a sentence. What exactly? Somewhere in her head, he's telling her again that there is no mercy in war. She puts a fist into the ground hard enough to feel it, and she asks it out loud, with both hands in her hair. What changed him like this? Somewhere else on the rocks, an orange coat and 2 rifles are moving through the dark. It's around here, one of them says. Search carefully. Yes, comes the answer. Then the man in the orange hat stops walking. Oh ho, he says. Is stealth really the best they can do? His Gaia is specialized in detection. He can see you no matter where you hide. And first he says, let's make sure you can't run. Then he lunges in and tells her he'll destroy her. Speaker works out what she's up against. This one is the tracking specialist, but with her barrier she can hold out. Then a boot comes through the air at her, and there's no time for anything. Of course she'd have a barrier as well as invisibility, he says. He tells her he expected exactly as much. And then the barrier goes anyway. She's staring up at him with nothing left in between. With her legs damaged, he says, running away will be difficult, won't it? So she asks what he is. A Gaia agent specialized in tracking. Newly developed? He laughs at her. The network's been cut, so she hasn't been updated. How pitiful. She plays the only card she has. Doesn't the government need her? If he damages her carelessly. It's fine, he says, as long as the main system is intact. Her escort is probably finished by now, so she should just come along quietly. And the gear inside her eyes stops turning. She tells him that won't be happening. One of them turns and manages a single word. What? Because something very large is coming across the rocks at speed, and the orange hat has just enough time to look up. Speaker feels it land through the frame of the chair. Somewhere in the dark, one eye narrows, and Raid gives him one word. Die. He crosses the ground and nothing flat. The first strike goes straight in. The orange coat comes off its feet with blood in its mouth, and Raid keeps going, fist wrapped in blue. Then Speaker is shouting at him, Raid, calm down. He stops with his hands still up. She's okay, she tells him. So let's get out of here first. He stands out on the rocks with the weapon across his body, and the sky is nothing but stars. And afterwards, the two of them just stand there, not saying it. Then he does. He's sorry. He couldn't protect her. She tells him he came in time, didn't he? And she's sorry she couldn't protect herself. And he admits something to himself. Tracking and hunting, that's what he knows. Defending, fleeing, protecting. He isn't used to any of it, so what is he supposed to do? Then she says his name, and he looks up. It's okay, she tells him. What matters is that they're together, so they're okay. That is the entire argument, and she means it. And Raid, of all people, says it back. Right. Later walking, he asks whether that village is really safe. The wanted posters will have spread by now. She's already thought about it. They're valuable prey. Report them to outsiders and competitors turn up, so they want to regroup inside that window. He understands, and he says it. I saw. Let's head to the next destination. Back on the rocks, she's still sitting there with her team laid out around her. Then she hears something, and her head comes up. Somebody strolls in and asks why everybody looks so down. Behind him, a girl in headphones stands with her back to all of it, and a hand closes inside a mechanical gauntlet. Reinforcements have arrived. That's how he puts it, and he's smiling when he says it. Dusk on the slope down, and there's a settlement out on the horizon with smoke coming off it. Speaker says his name, then says the things she's been sitting on. He didn't take all their lives. No, he says. He didn't take all of them. The old him would have eliminated every threat out there, wouldn't he? If it were the old him, he says. Yes, but he didn't, and she wants to know why. He asks her what exactly she is trying to say. She just smiles at him, which is worse than an answer, and eventually he gives her one. He doesn't know either. Then he stops because there's something up ahead. That's it, he says. That's the place. New Karma Village, the city of anarchists, sprawled all the way across the valley floor. Getting in there with the carrier, he says, is going to be difficult. So she takes hold of the frame and starts pulling herself out of it. He tells her sharply not to move. A lot of the data has been restored, she says. She can move a bit now, and if she could just get her legs fixed, she could walk without the carrier at all. All right then, he says. Let's try something. See whether she can move on her own 2 feet. Boots on stone, one step and then another. She's walking. The two of them slip into an alley and keep to the shadows, and there they are on the wall. 2 wanted posters side by side. The numbers are enormous. 100 million on one line and 20 million on the line marked kill. Then something catches his eye. An old man, further down the alley. The old man turns a small object over in his fingers and doesn't notice them at all. Then he does, and the air goes very still, and Raid, of all people, laughs. The old man starts sweating and doesn't stop. Then somebody in red comes barreling out of nowhere with a yell. Further up the street, a man with a box in his hands sees the 2 hoods coming and freezes. There are so many people here, Raid says, like it's a problem. The market above them is packed, and every stall is watching everything. Somebody gets a device taken off them in the open. What are you doing? They say. We need that now, comes the answer. Neither of them says anything about it. This is simply what the place is. He asks her what she's so excited about, given they're currently being hunted. And, she points out, there are wanted posters for them absolutely everywhere. But it's fascinating, she can't help it. Karma Village used to be a prosperous city, she says, until the first war turned it into a battlefield and burned all of it down. And then they built it again and called it New Karma Village. She is actually standing in a place she only ever knew from data. For her, this is the moment where everything feels genuinely real and present. He doesn't answer. He's somewhere else entirely. Being present, not illusion, not virtual, real. He never thought about existence before. It just started and he was in it. His life on the battlefield simply flowed past him without any meaning or reason attached to it. Then she says his name and he comes back. He looks up like he's been caught at something. Is he okay? She asks. What is he thinking about? He doesn't answer that one straight away either. She tilts her head at him and just waits, and then he tells her if he had never met her, he never would have found himself at all. And he's back in a white room with water running through it, watching her stand in the middle of it. She's calling him in. Raid, come in here with me. It's just putting your feet in water, he tells her, arms folded. She holds a hand out anyway and waits him out. He stands there in uniform with his back turned for a long moment. Then a boot comes down into the water. Back in the present, she's looking up at him again. It's okay, he tells her. Really? So, by the way, she asks, where are they actually going? First, they need to get her legs repaired. She says the splint is good enough for her. It isn't. As her protector, he can't have her walking around injured. Then he stops. In rough cities like this one, there's always one of these, a mechanic repair shop, right there in front of them. Somewhere in the city, a man comes out of a nightmare with a noise stuck in his throat. Then he's screaming properly, sitting up in a bed that hasn't been made in weeks. Something wakes him the rest of the way, and he's up before he's thought about it. He sits on the bunk behind iron bars, breathing hard, covered in old scars. Another thief, he says. Because of course it is. A hand closes around the rifle by the bed. He edges to the gap with a handgun up, and his face already wet, crouched at the doorframe, aiming at nothing yet. And out in the yard, somebody is crouched over his pile of scrap. Who's there? He shouts. How dare they come and steal his parts? The figure doesn't run. It just starts walking towards him. He gets the gun up properly and can't make a sound come out. Then he manages one word out of it. You, Raid, standing in a scrapyard in a green hood like it's nothing. He says he came to get what he left with him. Inside, 3 of them around a table. Raid says it again and puts a name on it. Robin. Robin wants to know what the hell happened. Why did he steal Speaker? There are wanted posters for him absolutely everywhere. Raid answers straight. Speaker 52 is an individual entity with free will, and she deserves respect. So for her sake, he decided to walk the path she wants, together. Robin loses it. What is he talking about? That is just a high-intelligence AI android. And she answers him herself. As he said, she's classified as a high-intelligence AI. Synapses, reaction speed, memory assistance, computational output, all of her metrics. And underneath every one of them, she feels her own existence. Robin won't have it. She's just a thing that humans made. Humans, Raid says, are also only lumps of protein and carbon. What matters is the ones who feel their own existence. That's his conclusion. He's had a lot of time to arrive at it, and Robin gets there. So that is why he made this choice. If that's what he's decided, then nothing Robin says is going to matter. So, the trackers will search the city, so move only after dark. Until then, stay holed up here. And with that, Robin considers the debt he owes him repaid. Then Raid says he has another favor. Robin asks what now. Her legs are damaged. Please fix them. Robin tells him he's got some nerve, which is fair. Speaker cuts in with the question she's been holding. How do those two know each other? Raid tells her, flatly. Robin owes him his life, and Robin says the quiet part. What's the point of saving someone only to throw them into this hell? Raid asks where he's going. Out, apparently, because he doesn't keep android android parts lying around. Then Robin stops in the doorway. The guardian he left here is in the pile of parts, under a tarp. Go and look. The door goes, and then it's just the two of them. She says the things she's been thinking. That old man is someone he can trust. She says it again, in case it didn't land the first time. And Raid almost smiles at her, which for him is enormous. He tells her he'll go check on the guardian to replace the carrier. She says, okay. Guardian. Battlefield support soldier. A combat machine with just enough intelligence for support work. For a very long time, a tool. Nothing more than that. An existence that served as the hands and feet of Gaia agents. A gloved hand takes hold of the tarp, and he pulls it off in one movement. Underneath it, a big green machine sits slumped forward with its arms on its knees. And whatever Raid's face is doing, it isn't nothing. He puts a hand flat on the green plating and leaves it there. The only being he ever felt a bond with on the battlefield. He didn't want to disturb its rest, but he tells it anyway. He's counting on it. And somewhere behind all that scrap, an eye comes on blue. Out in the street, Robin is swearing at nothing. Why did he have to come and find him? He should never have agreed to keep the guardian, and there's somebody waiting for him. A hand comes at him, and he goes straight back off his feet. Hey, scrap metal, old man. Looking pretty relaxed, aren't we? Robin protests. They collected payment the other day. What is this about? And the blonde one introduces himself. This body, Clack, has heard some interesting news. Robin's face does something complicated and painful. The man he owes his life to has crawled into this city. So how about it? A chance to clear that whole debt in one go, right? Out in the city, Robin walks the alley alone with the whole weight of the day on him. Scarred face, headband, and the look of a man who has already lost most of it. Then something goes wrong, and he's grunting through it. Whatever is happening to him, it's already hurting. 4 of them stand over him. One wants to know whether this raid is really that strong. Clack lays out the intel. There's a high chance he'll come to this city to repair a broken android. Robin doesn't say a single word. Then he does. There's no way that bastard would ever come to him. Clack's smile goes tight in a way that isn't a smile at all. Old scrap man, he says. He's being given an opportunity here. His repair shop was ransacked by thieves. His family was taken, and Clack barely managed to save him, remember? If he just helps catch this one man, Clack might be able to find the rest of his kidnapped family. You know. And Robin is back in that room, screaming at them to stop with the rest of it happening behind him. You, he says. You're the ones who did all of this. Clack just tilts his head at that. Then he swings, and Robin doesn't get his hands up in time. He should be grateful he was allowed to keep his life. What was that again? Just catch that man for him, and Clack will really find his daughter. So do as he's told. Look forward to it, old scrap man. Robin walks home with a bag on his shoulder and no choice left. This isn't a choice. It's just survival. That is what he tells himself the whole way. The door creaks open and Speaker turns towards it. Where's Raid? He asks before he's even through the door. Raid went to the parts storage to check on the Guardian. And more importantly, she says, is Robin okay? What happened to him? He doesn't have an answer for that one. She apologizes in case she's being rude. They turned up out of nowhere and made an enormous request of him. She's sorry. She started this journey to meet the crashed satellite, Mother. Her only reason for existing was to relay information from Mother. Listening to everything, seeing everything, analyzing everything. She thought that was experiencing the world. And then, one day, she met Raid, a man in a cap standing in front of a tank, watching her float in it. Raid was pure. It's just that he had no interest in anything at all except combat. Raid simply accepted everything in the world exactly as it was. He only fulfilled his reason for existing, from where he happened to stand, and talking to him was the most enjoyable thing she had. Everything she knew. No, everything she thought she knew. Raid was the only one who ever reached out to her inside that transparent prison. Robin cuts across it. So what is she actually trying to say? Raid is her savior. That's what she's trying to say. And she believes Raid will help with Robin's problem too. Robin's jaw goes tight enough to hear from across the room. Stop talking nonsense, he tells her, and get in the repair room over there. Don't make him laugh. Raid should never have saved him back then, because he remembers it. A soldier with a child under one arm, holding off what was coming. He remembers being on the ground with a boot coming down at him, and he remembers the one standing over all of it, delighted, saying this is what real power feels like. That, Robin says, was not salvation. Then he looks up, because there's somebody out in the yard. You're back, Raid says, and he wants to take the Guardian again if that's possible. And it all lands on Robin at once. His wife died, his daughter was taken, and he ended up a slave in all but name. He tells him he has the materials. It'll just take some time. And all of it because of Raid. He should have just died back then. Raid looks at him properly. He's in rough shape. What happened? Mind your own business? Robin tells him. More importantly, he says, what exactly is Raid trying to do here? Raid doesn't follow the question at all. Is helping that android his mission? No, Raid says. It is his own will. Robin grins at that. Is it really his will, though? Raid asks him what he is trying to say. Exactly what he said. It looks like Raid is just being used by that android. She understands him and manipulates him to get what she wants, by any means necessary. He's being used. Robin is shouting it now. That, Raid tells him, is not for him to judge. Think carefully, Robin screams, about how she's been controlling him, and underneath it, quieter. He'll hand them over and survive. Robin isn't finished. Think about everything that's happened. Think about what she made him do. And Raid tells him she wants one thing only, to meet Mother, her spiritual parent. He just wants to support that one small wish with everything he has. He simply wants to follow wherever his own heart takes him. Robin gives up. There's no getting through to him. Do whatever he wants. Then he stands there with a hand on his head, not saying anything at all. But there's something he absolutely couldn't get. He tried, and it's too difficult, and he was hoping Raid could go and get it for him. With the wanted posters out, Raid says he can't move freely around this city. Robin knows, but to switch the Guardian on, they absolutely need an energy pack. So Raid asks the only question left. What does he need to do? 6 blocks in that direction, there's a shop called Vegetable that deals in mechanic cores. Energy packs are too expensive, and Robin couldn't afford one, so Raid needs to sneak in and take it. Fine. He has no choice. He'll go and borrow an energy pack for a bit, and before he leaves, he asks them to watch over her. He's counting on it. Just go and come back, Robin tells him. He'll fix her broken legs in the meantime. Raid looks at him for a second longer than he needs to. What, he wonders, is Robin so anxious about? Then he drops off the ledge and he's gone, which leaves the two of them, and neither one says anything. Then she does. She's counting on him. Robin. He pulls the visor down. Don't move around unnecessarily. Just stay still. Across the city, one of Clack's crew wants to know why they keep that scrap old man alive. Is the boss just toying with him for fun? Idiot, Clack says. That old man may not look like much, but he's a useful technician. Those old model Guardians the crew runs, he fixed every single one of them himself. He was a government military mechanic engineer in the First War. Then the Second War broke out, and he ran with his family, lost everything, and ended up tied to them. And knowing all that in advance, Clack took his daughter hostage to keep him here and use him. One of them is delighted. As expected, boss. He's a genius. But, says another one, that old man's daughter is already a dim hope that looks just within reach. Clack says, clouds the judgment. If that man on the wanted posters goes to the old man, he'll rat him out, guaranteed. And then something on the table starts buzzing. Clack picks it up and grins. Bingo. A gloved hand closes around the device, and on the other end, Robin is crying. This time, really give his daughter back. If they come right now, he'll hand the android over to them. Somewhere across town, an empty alley, and one figure at the far end of it. Raid leans into a corner and lets out a breath he's been holding a while. Then his head comes up because he spotted it, found it. The shop called Vegetable. A long walk, but exactly where Robin said it would be. There are customers out front, which means the back is unguarded. He goes up and along the ledge, and nobody sees him. The mechanical arm goes into the gap in the wall. A door creaks, and he looks through it, and the question arrives on its own. Did Robin deceive him? Back at the shop, somebody stands in the doorway with the light behind them. Robin can't keep still. Speaker sits in the repair chair and watches him do it. Something clicks into place in her leg, and she flinches. The repair went well, she says. So why is Robin so anxious? He doesn't answer. He can't quite look at her either. Even if he hands her over to them, she tells him, she won't resent him. She's already had a lot of help. And Robin's whole face comes apart. Did she bug him? She knew, and she just stayed quiet? Creepy thing. It's just, she says, the natural order of wanting to live. If handing her over makes things easier for him, then she is okay with that. Disgusting, he screams. Where does she get off acting so generous? Because Raid saved him. He fell into this hell. His wife died. His daughter was taken. He's living like a slave. If he can just find his daughter, he'll do anything at all. So shut up and stay quiet. And she looks at him and says, the thing nobody has said to him. He's been suffering so much pain and so much hurt. What have you done? He says, and every bit of color goes out of him. Then something hits the door twice, hard, and the hinges start to creak open. Came to pick up the goods, scrap old man. Clack is already smiling in the doorway.